back, and now it is going to be once again match point for Vortix in the winner or the losers bracket finals rather in the first round of Golden League. Beastyqt with the Chinese and Vortix with the HRE.
All right, now BC fans are just like, one more game, one after this, keep it going. We want that long day. Vortix fans, on the other hand, they're like, come on, just get through quickly. We want the bro showdown. Lucifron waiting at the sideline to see who's going to compete against in a best-of-7 grand final. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Beasty still trying to stay alive here. It's turned to the Chinese, a Civ that has served him and many a player incredibly well in the past, especially on water hybrid maps. Holy Island, I mean, it's a perplexing place. We were theory crafting a bit. We haven't seen that much of the Civ, at least recently on Holy Island. Most of the time, it seems to be either English, HRE, Rus, or I'd say fourth is probably Abbasids.
Yep, now Rus was banned on both sides in this set, and as I mentioned prior to this game, they have played this game, or they have played this map rather, in the winners bracket set that they have played. In there, it was Vortix with the Rus against the Beast's English, and Vortix won that game.
And it was a dominant game, I recall it. Like, he pushed Beasty off the water in, I think, a matter of a few minutes. It didn't take him very long at all. People at that stage started to really put their stocks in Vortix, seeing him shine again. I remember saying, I don't know what it is about the Spanish bros, but it feels like maybe they're just more kind of wintry guys. I feel like the first half of the year, they look so godly. The second half, they're still respectful, but you wouldn't necessarily put them in your top 2 or 3.
Yeah, they've definitely been quote-unquote under the radar for the last time. We've always been talking about them as some of the best players in the scene, but in this first round of Golden League, they've really been dominating. Lucifron coming in from the winner's bracket, he's waiting his opponent there, and we could very well see the two Spanish bros finish as the top 2 in the first round of Golden League. So really, so far the settings that we've been playing here in this first round really seem to favor their playstyle, and right now they're shining.
Is the Raiders, you know, through and through. Vortix, I think Vortix is more of an all-in commitment type player, right? They both have this similar level of aggression, but Lucifron is a raider at heart, right? He wants to milk an advantage and expand it, but he'll play for a later timing. Although Vortix is no stranger to late game situations, there's no denying that he's amongst the top 10, definitely probably like top 3 or top 4, but just choosing a time around 15 or 20 minutes and saying, I go now. Like, everything gets committed. We saw it, in fact, earlier on this series when he went in full with that Ram play as the Delhi in the Ultimate Delhi matchup on Basin.
Yeah, I feel like the key thing with at least Vortix from what we are seeing in this set is how good he is when it comes to taking fights and when it comes to evaluating whether he can take a fight or not. That has been an exceptional ability for him showcased in this set. He really has nailed perfect timings with those pushes in all of these games.
And the micro, just the micro is always on point. I mean, I remember, I remember just saying to people, honestly, I think Lucifron has the best micro on water, like at that tournament. And I think Vortix was easily top 3 as well. And they've been consistent with that, right? I remember in the early days of last year, they were the 2 players everyone was looking towards. You know, when you were thinking about players that used animation canceling the best, Vortix and Lucifron were easily in the top 4.
In the dark days of animation canceling, but as you pointed out, that has always been a strength for them. And with these settings where it's less about turtling, more about taking decisive fights and gaining momentum, that extra ability to micro, that upper hand that they can have with that, really comes in clutch.
I'm just looking at the generation here. It was not kind for Vortix. Sometimes you get spawns on Holy Island where you get a second wood line towards your opponent's base, and usually the goal will be parked next to one wood or the other. As you can see, Vortix, the RNG god spat in his face here. There is not a great Ark and Chapel placement.
Yeah, so you're telling me that the gold mine he has is exposed and could be Barbican rushed by Beasty.
I mean, in that regard, it's just, you made it easier for Vortix. Like, do I want gold? I'm taking the wood. I'm definitely just arcaning the wood. Which kind of works, right? Like, because the other thing is, when you play a water hybrid map like this, you know, the gold is nice, but it's not as important because you know you're going to be playing a prolonged feudal anyway. So having a buffed up gold vein, like, it's not about fast castle age timing, right? It's just about how do I get the most wood into my economy.
Exactly. And talk about naval combat, most of your ships will be wood heavy rather than gold heavy. So your limiting factor is going to be wood. Even if you both buff your gold, it's not going to be the decisive factor because you won't be able to push out more ships if you don't have the sufficient amount of wood. So as you said, it's all about buffing that wood income. And that's exactly what Vortix will ignore by going for the Minework Palace.
But... Nani? Why?
Interesting. He's also rushing it with 7 villagers, so this is a rushed feudal age with the Minework Palace being built by 8. Now, do keep in mind that... Oh yeah, go ahead.
Feudal age... sorry, we got it. Is this feudal age men-at-arms spam?
Could be. Could very well be. He's got a crazy good fishing eco, don't forget that. HRE being one of the few civilizations that can afford double dock full fishing ship production in Dark Age. Now, this is critical. Gets scouted by Beastyqt instantly, not just the barracks, but the Minework Palace as well. And he's going for a Barbican at the front of his base. So Beastyqt's gonna be set up well to defend this.
Guaranteed. Let me just... Okay, guys, let's go to Beasty now for a listen-in. He's building mine work? Okay, yeah. His laugh isn't quite that obnoxious, but like, for real, Beasty, we all know his opinions on mine work. There is probably no player more vocal about the spiteful hate for this landmark than the guy on the other side.
That's very true. I mean, Minework has seen some changes recently, but I do recall a game back like a year ago or so where Beastyqt was asked what it would take for him to make a Minework Palace, and he said that he would rather build an Aachen Chapel in the middle of an empty field with no resources around than to build a minework. That's his mindset about that landmark.
I just love how... Big shout out to Relic, by the way. Like, it takes a certain level of skill to be this, like, Shibati with the name of things, right? So, for example, you've got the Barbican being built on that could be built in your opponent's base, but it's called a defensive landmark, right? You've got the Kremlin as a defensive landmark, but militia get used to raiding. You've got the minework, which never works. Like, there's someone, honestly, in the Office of Relic that's doing this intentionally, Lidakor. Like, it's a skill. They've hired someone with this specific role.
Oh, Beast is such a good reaction over there. He's going to make a very tiny, confined base for himself. Also going for Song Dynasty with the Imperial Academy. And, oh, that's ugly as well for Vortix. He's going to lose the scout on the shoreline. Deprived of vision, with little chance for those men-at-arms to work. We could be in for a fast game over here, KP.
He just walled himself in. Like, this is like, Vortix has no play now. Like, he's gonna lose water at this rate, and now he's 5 men-at-arms in, and they can't do anything. This is the worst possible outcome, and it's all because that minework got scouted.
Exactly, but then again, you can't anticipate that you won't get noticed. Players out here, they will always scout you when you age up, especially when it comes to that transition from Dark Age to Feudal. They want to know what you're doing. And, well, Beast did just that. Now, don't forget, this could still be a little bait-style play over here. If Vortix stops producing infantry, he could still commit very heavily to naval play. But you really feel like these men-at-arms didn't pay for their price.
I don't think they're ever going to pay for their price. I mean, people wonder what it would have taken for minework to work on this map. Hear me out. You take your villages, you get forestry straight away. You chop deep into your wood line, and you carve out enough space to build a minework, and you build it there. And then your timing will be delayed, but it's debated because BC will think that you've just gone heavy into fishing, and that's why you've got a slower feudal age. All of a sudden, 20 men-at-arms are in his base, and he's like, what? Where? How? He'll have to go check the replay, or we'll never know.
Yeah, the only thing I can think about here right now for Vortix is that by going for men-at-arms, he's also forcing a Chukonu play here from the opposing side, forcing him to make an archer range. And there's a villager being pulled as well. Could possibly be for a tower. Chop through, impossible with archers being... Wait a second. Could be a very long chop through.
Yeah, go deep. Don't go straight up. No! Go deep.
That's so sad.
I mean, in fairness, let's be real, Lidakor. If you went deep, then he'd just wall the small intersection you open up anyway. Like, either way, this feels chalk.
Not
Has
yet.
to get a second tree as well, by the way.
Beasty isn't noticing, though. He's busy on the naval front.
He's distracted. Oh, Vortix is so good at this. We saw it, actually, on the previous weekend. He'd distract you on one location and get an advantage elsewhere, and he's going to do it again.
Oh, that's crazy good, though. This is what he was waiting for, and he's got marching drills. These men-at-arms are no joke now, and here they dive. Look at that. It's insane value.
And BC's distracted. He's busy taking the fight still, so Vortix just proving the better micro here. Boom ships are going to come out to punish him, though. Not well enough. And the return fire needs to be a quick reaction out of Beasty, or he's going to lose a bunch here. It's going to push him back. And remember, Vortix, even though he doesn't get maximum pain out of the demo, he takes one with him,
doesn't
and
notice.
it pushes them away. How many is that dead? He's on 10.
That's
Oh
devastating for
my.
Beasty.
But don't worry. Now that you've got in, you're trapped. Okay, no, I'm not even going to pretend. You're trapped inside, Vortix. There's no possible way you can escape.
Oh
I'm just
my
going to go build a
goodness.
lumber camp over here in the open again.
That is unbelievable. Really, Beasty didn't anticipate that happening. The villager was visible the whole time, but as you said, Vortix is doing such a terrific job just distracting you. And he timed this all well. He said, okay, I'm gonna wait until I have the mass. I will dive you on the water, and while you're distracted, I'm gonna wipe out your lumberjacks. And look at Beasty's wood now. He's sitting at 1 wood in the bank.
And the new Goon platoon are on the way. And the funny thing is, like, even if they walk in, they're not going to be trapped because Beasty just opened up the north side again of his enclosing. On the booms, double boom. Beasty needs to count this right now. Focus fire coming in, and the body blocks means he should get their second demo ship words. But I honestly don't know how Beasty recovers on naval now. I think the men-at-arms is going to push him further behind, and Vortix might just cruise off of that.
Yeah, the key thing is that the lumberjacking was shut down for so long, and we talked about this. That's the main constraint when it comes to naval production. Beast is gonna struggle to rebuild his navy, and his fishing eco has already taken a beating. Despite the fact that he's getting some good demo hits, he's also suffering from some, and there it goes.
Absolute destruction out of Vortix. Beasty on the ropes, has to rebuild the fleet, now down to just 3 sprinkled chips. Galley's always pulled away, kept alive by Vorti. And Vortix, remember, he's still got men-at-arms to push across the map. But it is enough to convince him it is done. Beasty will call GG. Vortix, with the sheer outplay, will take Game 4 and head into the grand finals for a clash with his brother.
What a game by Vortix over here. It looked so sad for a long time, but that drop at minute 10 in the villager count of Beasty is the game. We go back to the previous game. You remember that Vortix losing 2 villagers could have actually been a difference maker, him not being able to repair the dock. Such a small detail snowballing into defeat. Same thing over here. Vortix distracts Beasty, men-at-arms break in, and Beasty didn't notice that in time, loses 10 plus villagers, and with that, the game and the set.
I tell you what, that tree chop through, that came in clutch. Not going to notice for so long. Honestly, it's the type of thing, Vortix is probably there like he's in a horror game, right? Like you're trying to hide from the Slender Man. You turn away like, don't notice me, don't notice me, don't notice me. BC not noticing that put him so far back. I mean, we said he had the Chuge Nu, he had the option to try and snipe, but Vortix, so crafty about his play, makes the mine work actually look viable here. And I think this just goes back to what we said about what makes the Spanish Bros so good. What really is just putting them apart compared to the rest. I think that they are easily, like, probably top 3, if not top 2 between them on the micro side.